In this video, I'm going to show you how I create a background to cover up all the basement clutter shown behind my layout here. Coming up next on the CP Rail Whiskey Creek sub. To start, I gathered some dollar store acrylic paint as well as 1/8 inch hardboard and cut it the size. Then I left myself and marked it off as 2 inches up from the bottom of the hardboard, and this allowed me an idea of where to, I don't need to actually paint because that's just going to be attached to the frame of the layout. So using a dollar store roller brush, then I started off with the light blue acrylic paint and covered the entire area. I used the cardboard behind to try to protect my table saw from getting paint on it. The goal here is to try to cover all of it in the light blue paint, and obviously keeping mindful of the area that you don't actually need to paint, but I need to make sure I get below that 2-inch mark that I marked off just to make sure I have good coverage. The next step is adding the white. So you start at the bottom and slowly start adding in a layer of the white paint, and then you'll start feathering it towards the top. Again, being super careful not to be able to get any on the table saw. Oops. But you're starting with a nice feathered edge and working your way higher and higher, and you want to start blending it into the blue that's in the higher portion of the background. This is helped by having the blue paint still wet, and then it will start feathering back and forth to create a soft transition from the white at the bottom and then the blue at the top. In this next step, I'm going to add some of the background trees. So what I want to start doing is marking off some of the higher rock formations that I have to sort of get an idea of what the cresting point of those rock formations. So I can make sure my tree line at least goes above that and create some nice background scenery that will go behind the actual foreground trees. So I mark the top portions of some of the high points of this rock formation, and then how far out they go into the actual background. Now I'm gathering my green paint, again acrylic paint from the dollar store, and I'm going to start off with the darker, it's a hunter green, and just a small little dab is all you really need to start off with, and have a bristled brush instead of the roller brush used earlier, and just going to dab that in, and just enough to pick up at the tips of the brush and wipe it off a little bit because you're almost dry brushing this on. So, and then I just start dabbing, going off of the high points that I wanted to make sure I had some coverage. So just going slightly above that and feathering it down to create a nice soft tree line that follows all the way down the rock formation. And then what you can do is turn your brush sideways and use it to create almost some background evergreen trees. Create a little bit of height and variation, so it's not just a perfect slope going downwards. It has some changes in elevation and the skyline itself. And then adding in some of the lighter green will add a variation in the different types of trees and their distance away, and just add that special color that you want to create that background scene. So here I continue to add more and more trees and continue to bring the trees a little bit farther down just to be able to make sure I had very good coverage for the entire background. Now comes the best part, where we make this mess disappear. So I used a couple clamps to hold it in place since I only have 2 hands, and I pre-drilled a couple holes just to make things a little bit easier, and then using another drill, then I drilled the screws into place. And now the photographs I take of this section of the layout, don't have to worry about seeing Lego and other kids' toys in the background. Hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.